The 23-year-old boyfriend of Gabby Petito. We have the latest developments in the case and the impact of social media on this manhunt.
And I really am curious to hear about the boyfriend side of the story. It seems like it's going to fill in all the details.
Meanwhile, in Grand Teton Park, Wyoming, new information about the campground where Gabby Petito's body was found. Did the YouTube video lead investigators to her body?
This is the first time we're getting a look inside the Spread Creek dispersed camping area in the Bridgerton-Teton National Forest. This area has been closed off for days as law enforcement searched for and believe they eventually found Gabby Petito. You can see right behind me in this creek area, we saw several indicators that police have searched this area. We also found what appears to be a memorial. It's a rock formation of a cross right near the creek there.
In Brooklyn, New York, R&B superstar R. Kelly accused of running a criminal enterprise to sexually abuse young women and girls. We have the latest from the courthouse.
On day 2 of the defense case, Robert R. Kelly's accountant takes the stand to testify he never saw any disrespectful behavior by Kelly towards women. In fact, he says he saw Kelly fork over large amounts of cash to his girlfriends to spend as they please. Will his testimony help or hurt the singer's denial he was running a criminal enterprise?
On the docket tonight, the disappearance of mother of 2, Suzanne Morphew. Her husband, Barry, charged with her murder, is set free from jail. We have the details. In Moab, Utah, body cam footage from August 12th of Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. Tonight, we take a closer look at the discussions police had with the couple with our law enforcement experts.
I know I shouldn't push, but I'm just trying to push your way to go. Let's just take a minute, step back and breathe. And we see if she got me with her phone.
In Los Angeles, California, a skateboarder is killed in a hit and run. We take a look at the video during crime time. Plus, it's the case that has captured the nation, the disappearance and death of Gabby Petito. Tonight's 13th juror question: what is the key to uncovering the truth about what happened to Gabby? Go to our Facebook pages and tell us what you think. I'm Vinnie Politan. Great to have you with us tonight here on Closing Arguments, and I want to begin with the latest in the investigation into the now confirmed death of Gabby Petito. Take a look. 22 years old. She went on a trip. Should have been an adventure of a lifetime. You know, 22 years old, driving around with your boyfriend, your fiance, and just experiencing life and all the amazing things to see in our amazing country. And posting and sharing with the world on social media should have been amazing. But now we've gotten this tweet from the FBI out of Denver. The Teton County Coroner, Dr. Brent Blue, has confirmed that the remains are those of Gabriel Venora Petito. Date of birth, March 19th, 1999. Coroner Blue's initial determination for the manner of death, and this is huge. This is big news tonight. Homicide. The cause of death remains pending final autopsy results. Manner of death, homicide. How do we define homicide? Death at the hands of another. It's not an accident. It is not suicide. It is not natural causes. This is now a homicide investigation. And who exactly still remains as a person of interest in whatever happened to Gabby Petito? That is her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie. Take a look. Here he is. Take a look at his picture. I want you to see his picture tonight. You know why? Because he is still on the lam. Nobody knows where he is. Apparently his parents don't know. They told police. And now you've got a massive manhunt taking place. Law enforcement and every web sleuth on social media looking through videos and cameras, trying to track down this man, Brian Laundrie. Meanwhile, law enforcement down in Florida went back to the Carlton Reserves and started searching there again. They stopped for a day, but are back at work there. So, we've got a lot to cover tonight. let's first bring in Court TV legal correspondent Stanley Painter, who joins us tonight. Stanley, let's start first with that search, right? There was the big FBI raid and search of the Laundrie home. What have we learned there, and what's the latest that we're learning from the family tonight?
Well, first of all, the authorities aren't releasing exactly what they gleaned from an all-day search of Brian Laundrie's family home there in Northport, Florida. And you can see in the video the authorities, the FBI, taking box after box out of the house, putting it in the evidence vans for processing. Not sure what they found, but it seemed like a lot. Now, when I'm going through the evidence, there was a particular part of a search warrant that really stood out to me. This was signed by Northport Police Department. It's for the search warrant for the contents of an external hard drive that was found in Gabby Petito's white van. That van that her fiance Brian drove to that house right there without Gabby on September 1st and left that. The authorities seized that. But there's something particular about this search warrant. In paragraph 5, it says that Gabby's mother became concerned about a text on August 27th. It says the subject's mother received an odd text. The text message read, quote, "Can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls," quote, end quote. The reference to Stan, Vinnie, referring to Gabby's grandfather, but per her mother, she would never call her grandfather Stan in a text message, so this certainly alarmed Gabby's mother, and that's August 27th. That's one of the last messages that Gabby's mother would hear from her in what her family attorney has told the media, an alarming string of texts that she doesn't believe quite that Gabby may have sent. So really building a timeline for authorities about maybe around the time that Gabby would have passed away.
That date is crucial in this timeline, August 27th. It's not just that message. That was also the date of that YouTube video that most people believe led investigators to the remains of Gabby Petito. And that was the white van on the side of the road on the 27th of August. So as investigators are putting that together, you put this odd tweet, you've got the van on the side of the road near the area where the body is found, starting to put these pieces together. How about Gabby's family? This has to be, I mean, I know it's devastating because I listened to them. I spoke with her stepfather, and they're all holding out hope that somehow, some way she was stranded somewhere. And now today you've got this confirmation from the coroner. What about Gabby's family tonight?
Well, of course, they are devastated after the recovery of the remains on Sunday, that grim discovery by authorities after a 2-day search of the remote campsite there at the Grand Teton National Park. The family of Gabby Petito asked for some privacy so that they could cope and grieve with what happened. After a couple of days not hearing from the family, they did release a statement today, a day that the coroner there in Teton County confirmed that the remains were indeed their daughter, Gabby. And in a statement through their attorney, they say that, "I want to personally thank the press and news media for giving the Petito and Schmidt family time to grieve. We will be making a statement when Gabby is home. I will contact you to arrange the time and location." And you're right, Vinnie, because of this family getting the story of who Gabby was out there, the awareness of her missing, and this is still an ongoing investigation. Even with the release of the FBI confirming the identification of the remains, they're still asking for the public's help. I know you talked about social media presence, those sleuths, armchair detectives out there helping possibly the investigation. They're asking for those with information to send photos, to make their tips to 1-800-CALL-FBI, because while Brian Laundrie is still missing, he's just a person of interest. He's not a suspect, and they just want him for questioning.
Stanley Painter, Court TV legal correspondent, thanks so much. Joining us now in Venice, Florida, reporter with our great affiliate WFTS, Judy Salomon, joins us. Julie, great to see you. Thanks so much. What's the latest in the search tonight for Brian Laundrie?
Well, I can tell you right now, the FBI is leading this investigation. Authorities have been out here throughout the day searching what is known as the Carlton Reserve. It's 25,000 acres of land out here, and it's a very difficult search. There are alligators, there are snakes, but right now the search has concluded for the evening. They said that they have found nothing of any importance right now, but they plan to be back out here again tomorrow.
And any difference in the search today as compared to prior searches? Did they go to different areas? Were there different tools that have been used?
Well, they are essentially searching the same park, but different areas. So when they started over the weekend, they were focusing on the area closest to Brian Laundrie's home, the home he has with his parents in Northport. But now they have moved about 30 minutes away from that area, and they're searching the area out here. They're using very specific drones that have the capability of really honing in on a specific location to see what's going on there. We also saw a helicopter in the area as well. They're using ATVs, and law enforcement pointed out that this park is mostly underwater. 75% of it is underwater, so that makes the search very difficult.
Are they looking for him anywhere else? Have they indicated that, hey, okay, we're looking in this park, this is what the parents told us, but are they following leads or going in any other areas?
I have tried to get information all day long, and right now everything is being filtered to the FBI office out of Denver. At this point, they said any major updates will come from Twitter. We are seeing a lot of misinformation online about where Brian Laundrie might be, but at this point, law enforcement has not come out and said that they're searching any other state or any other location besides the park behind me.
And finally, any word from his parents?
Well, that is two people we have not heard from this entire time. Law enforcement says their communication with the parents has really been limited. At this point, police are just calling Brian Laundrie a person of interest. Police have said the entire time that they wanted to speak with Brian, but when officers went to the home in Northport, they were asked to contact his attorney up in New York.
All right. Julie Salamone joining us from Venice, Florida tonight. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Unbelievable developments in all this. We're now at a point where the manner of death is homicide. Homicide changes everything. Changes everything. I want to bring in a special guest joining us tonight. Criminal defense attorney in Atlanta, Georgia. Former president of the Georgia Association of Criminal Defense Attorneys, Lawrence Zimmerman is with us. Lawrence, great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Vinnie.
A lot of questions. Let me throw these at you, okay? Because this is what people are wondering. The parents of Brian Laundrie, do they need a lawyer? Could they be charged with anything? People are saying, should they be charged with obstruction of justice? Why didn't they come forward earlier? Why did they remain silent? All of that. What are your thoughts about Laundrie's parents?
I mean, if there's evidence that they knew something about their son covering up Petito's disappearance and death, I mean, certainly there could be some charges, but it's hard to imagine what they really actually know just based on what he told them. And I mean, I don't know.
Whatever, Lawrence, here's the deal, though, right? And this is the reality. Whatever he told them was enough for them to get a lawyer, right?
Sure.
So he didn't say, like, she went home or we split up and she went back to New York. You don't need a lawyer for that.
Of course not. You're talking about the parents.
The parents, but the parents got a lawyer, yes. Whatever this guy, Brian Laundrie, told his parents when he came back home in Gabby's van without Gabby, prompted them to hire an attorney. So I can't believe he just said that, yeah, she went back home. No, she had to say something that would make them want to hire an attorney, right, Lawrence?
No, I agree with you 100%. I'm not disagreeing. I just don't know. I just don't want to speculate what the parents know, what they could be charged with. Clearly, Brian Laundrie seems to be involved in her disappearance. No doubt about that. Maybe they hired a lawyer to run interference for Brian, and they may not know a lot, but they just knew he was up to something, and maybe he wouldn't reveal it, and they got concerned. It's hard to say. That's all. It's charged with obstruction. What are they obstructing about? That they knew where Gabby's buried? I mean, did Brian tell them that? I mean, I just don't know what the obstruction would be yet. That's all.
Right. I just want to make it clear that they knew. I mean, from my perspective, using common sense, which I try to rely upon a lot, not only here but in my life, is that you're hiring an attorney for a reason. All right, Lawrence, we've got some company for you tonight. Joining us in Seattle, Washington, trial attorney Ann Bremner, and in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, former prosecutor, former assistant state attorney, counsel for Ben Crump Law, and trial attorney Sue Ann Robinson. Great to see everyone. All right, Sue Ann, okay. So how about the fact that Brian comes home, no Gabby, and whatever he tells his parents, everyone's wondering, what did he tell them? He had to tell them something because they hired a lawyer.
Absolutely. I mean, really, what he told the parents is so critical to the investigation. And it's important to note there really isn't a parent privilege. So they can't be questioned on what he said at this point, especially being that he's on the lam. I think if I'm a parent, if my child comes home and tells me something that's so disturbing that I contact the police, a lawyer, a defense attorney, then there's definitely an issue there. There's no way that he came home and said, hey, she just walked away. I don't know where she is. And they contacted a lawyer. There had to be something during the course of that conversation that made the parents believe that their son needed the protection of a criminal defense attorney.
And Bremner, right now, this thing is playing out the way I think everyone thought it was going to be playing out, right? The coroner comes back, rules the manner of death homicide. The person of interest is missing, and the parents went to police on Friday after he allegedly went camping on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Gives him 4 days. He could be anywhere. I mean, he could be in that reserve. I don't know. But what are your thoughts about the parents? Because everyone keeps asking me, wherever I go, what about the parents? Should the parents be charged? Do the parents have to worry? Do the parents have to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? What's going on here?
Well, at first, I love your common sense, Vinnie. That's exactly what it is. I mean, obviously, they know that he's involved, and they've delayed, and they're protecting him, and he didn't speak, and they defended that. There's no parental privilege. We knew that from the Monica Lewinsky case. Remember that back when the whole issue was whether or not her parents could assert some kind of a privilege in that impeachment trial of President Clinton. Yeah, the parents, they call it obstruction of justice. There's a lot of governmental interference crimes out there, whether federal or state. But the bottom line is they did a search warrant that requires probable cause to believe there's a crime committed. If there's probable cause to search a house, there's probable cause to make an arrest. It's the same standard. So I think here they clearly are protecting their son to a criminal degree.
Lawrence, this case could end up in federal court, right? If in fact they allege a crime in a national park, it could end up in federal court here. And you and I both know, Lawrence, I think you'll agree with me, that the feds hate going to trial unless they are guaranteed of a victory. They don't like circumstantial cases. They want direct evidence. And I think the only place in this case that you could potentially get direct evidence is from the parents. If Brian said something to the parents, again, if and when hypothetically he's ever charged with anything. But that would be the only place because there's no witness to this, there's no videotape, right? So do you think the feds will try to put the squeeze on the parents and threaten them with charges in order to make them talk?
Again, threaten them with charges. Vinnie, I don't usually come on your show and presume guilt, but I think it's pretty clear Brian Laundrie's involved. He went away with his fiance, came back without her, and has no explanation, and she's dead. Pretty easy to me to prove guilt there. It makes zero sense. They had a domestic dispute a couple days beforehand. It's on video with the police. So, will the feds try to squeeze people? Sure, they try to squeeze people all the time. I don't know what Brian told the parents that would make it obstruction that they'd be forced to tell the police what he told them. That's the only reason I'm just reluctant to say that there's some kind of obstruction charge for the parents.
All right, I've got 40 more minutes to work on Lawrence tonight. So we're just getting started here, folks. All right, our think tank is staying with us. When we come back, we've got a live report from Brooklyn, New York in the case against R&B superstar R. Kelly. And we also have the latest. Look, right there. It's a verdict clock. It keeps ticking. 15 hours, no verdict in Akron, Ohio. What's going on? We'll have a live report from there as well. All right, there he is, Stanley Ford. 15 hours the jury has been out in his case, still not reaching a verdict yet. Potential death sentence. We're talking about the murder of 9 people, 5 children, 3 fires set, 2 of them to houses. Unbelievable. So what exactly is going on in Akron? Let's bring in Court TV crime and justice reporter Joy Lim Nakrin, who is in Akron tonight. So what's going on with this jury today?
Yeah, you know, Vinnie, it's funny because so many people throughout the day have actually been alluding to your formula. I think, is it 1 hour for every day of testimony? I mean, this trial is now in week 4, and we're looking at the clock. It's a little over 15 hours that this jury has been deliberating. They heard from 39 witnesses for the state, no witnesses for the defense. And at this point today, we've really just kind of been standing by while this jury deliberates. They worked right through dinner tonight. They worked right through dinner last night. Remember that the judge had instructed them before they began their deliberations yesterday that, you know, they could break at 7 or 8 o'clock for the day if they wanted to, and instead they worked past 9 p.m., again, working through dinner, and then they came back just before 9 a.m. today, and they are still working, looking like it's going to be another long night. And really, the most that we've heard out of them was a question, and I should say we heard that they had a question, but the judge did not actually read the question into the record. Instead, she amended the jury instructions in response to that question.
Okay, so let's get back to my theorem. You ready? So if it's 4 weeks of 4 weeks of trial, what you want to do is 1 day for every week. So when it's a trial that's multiple weeks, it's a day for every week. So if you're talking about 4 weeks of testimony and evidence, about 4 days of deliberation would be an average. So if it comes in before 4 days, it's a little bit quick. If it's after 4 days, it's a longer deliberation. So I think we're right on target here. What they do, like half a day yesterday, full day today, and then Wednesday, Thursday. So that puts us kind of like Thursday or maybe even into Friday. So we'll see. We'll see. Joy, this is what we'll do. If you hear anything from the jury, let us know. We'll break in and we'll bring it to everyone live tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, Joy Lim Nakrin in Akron, Ohio tonight. Let's now go to Brooklyn, New York, where Court TV legal correspondent Julie Janae is outside of the courthouse there in the case involving R&B superstar R. Kelly. So, no jury deliberating yet there, but we are in the defense case.
No jury deliberating, but we are getting close. It's only day 2 of the defense's case, but they are at the end of their witnesses. We expect there are going to be a couple tomorrow morning, and then the closing arguments are going to start by the afternoon. That's what the judge said in the courtroom today, and we're thinking that the jury will get this case on Thursday. So we're getting very close, but it's been 4 witnesses for the defense. All of them have been former employees. We heard from 2 of them today. One was a studio audio engineer and another was an accountant. They both said that they never saw any abuse that the defendant inflicted on any women in his life, refuting what we've heard from other accusers who have taken the stand during the government's case. We also heard from that accountant that Kelly had a stash of money that he would give out freely to his girlfriends, allowing them to spend their money on whatever they wanted. And John Holder, that accountant, he said this about the time that he spent around the defendant and his girlfriends, that he always seemed to treat them with respect. The defense attorney, Calvin Scholar, asked him, how were these women dressed? And the witness said they were dressed appropriately. Scholar also asked, did these girlfriends have to look away when you were in a room? The witness said no. He also asked, did you have to leave the room when they walked in? He said that didn't happen either. We know that there were rules that other employees talked about on the stand, saying that they were not allowed to be around men. They couldn't look them in the eye. So this going directly against what this jury has heard on the other side of this trial, when the prosecution was the one calling the witnesses. On cross-examination, though, the government wanted to bring out some kind of a clash between this accountant, the former accountant, Joan Sullivan, and the defendant. And at the end of that cross-examination of the accountant, they asked him, was there ever a situation where Kelly raised his voice during that meeting with that former accountant? And this witness said, no, he was actually crying during that meeting. They asked again, do you recall him during all of that raising his voice? He thought about it, took some time, and said, just crying. I wouldn't call it raising his voice. But there's an image at the end of that cross-examination that probably went a little further with the jury than that back and forth about this clash. And that's this picture of an octopus. It's something that was drawn up or created by the accountant for Kelly. It was a graphic of sorts, an organizational chart. It showed all of the names of the dozens of people who work for Kelly. They were listed in many places on those tentacles. You don't see it in this sketch, which is a rendering of what we saw in court. But it also showed Kelly's name at the top of RSK Enterprises, the name of his company, standing for Robert Sylvester Kelly. The prosecution asked if this was something that was created to show how everyone worked together and that Kelly was the one in charge. This witness had to say it was his company. He never would admit that this showed that the defendant was in charge of everything happening in his enterprise.
The criminal enterprise, according to prosecutors. We shall see. Fascinating. Julia Janae in Brooklyn, New York tonight. Thanks so much, Julia. Let's bring back in the think tank. We just had two reports, all right? We've got Stanley Ford accused of murdering 9 people, potential death sentence, 15 hours, no verdict, but it was a 4-week trial. And all of a sudden, things are wrapping up against R. Kelly. Suzanne, let me ask you, Suzanne Robinson, former prosecutor, which of these two cases do you think the prosecution is stronger?
I definitely think the prosecution in the R. Kelly case had more evidence and more witnesses. Certainly, this is a case born out of a docuseries. So it's possible this is going to be the first, reality TV or docuseries, true crime series conviction where the entire case was mounted or remounted based on surviving R. Kelly. So they definitely had a ton of evidence in an entire multi-part docuseries, and they certainly introduced a gang of witnesses. Over 30 witnesses during the course of their investigation. So I think they have a lot of evidence. In the other case, the issue is they're trying to prove 3 different fires that are spaced out over a period of time, and they have to prove each case beyond and to the exclusion of a reasonable doubt. I want to add a variable to your theorem because they're proving 3 different cases. I think that's going to add at least a day for each case, each fire that they have to prove.
Never mess with the theorem, Suzanne. Never mess with the theorem. And Bremner, which of these cases do you think comes back first? Because it looks like they're moving forward in R. Kelly. We're going to have closing arguments perhaps tomorrow. Jury gets the case on Thursday. Which one's coming back first?
Well, I love Suzanne's comments, and I want to say, Suzanne, don't forget the jinx when we're looking at a documentary that ends up in a courtroom, right? I mean, it's not exactly like R. Kelly, but it's kind of similar in some ways. But I think R. Kelly comes back first. I think that's been a swift case. It's a federal case. It's a strong case, like Suzanne said. And the defense is wrapping it up pretty quickly, which means it'll get to the jury soon, and I think they'll come back sooner. I think this, Ohio case is a very difficult prosecution. I mean, we saw the video. It was grainy. They had to show him walking like the individual in the video to say that that's him. I don't know what everyone thought about that, but I didn't think it was all that convincing, just his gait. And these small motives, I mean, the dog comes on your yard, you don't like your neighbors. Is that enough to kill families, to kill children? Really? I mean, that's really hard for people, I think, to digest and to give them basically a conviction, which could result in death.
All right, Lawrence, take us behind the curtain here as a defense attorney. Which part of a case is more difficult for you? Just waiting for a verdict, the clock is ticking, you don't know what's going to happen, or the end of your case when you're like about to rest and you're thinking about whether or not you have put in the evidence that you want, that you've done everything that you wanted to do?
Well, certainly when you're trying to decide what your case is going to be, that's very difficult. It takes a lot of strategy. your preparation got you there, but things change during the course of a trial where you may have to make, as we all have, a last second, hopefully right strategic decision, and you're going to Monday morning quarterback it when you lose. But as far as waiting on a verdict, sure, it's extremely painful. It's like waiting to hear someone's going to live or die, and the clock just seems to move slower than it has ever moved. Usually that's where I get my steps in and walk around the court 1,000 times.
15 hours, 14 minutes in the Ford case, and they're still deliberating tonight. And R. Kelly, they'll start deliberating on Thursday. Think Tank staying with us. When we come back, we're going to take you on the docket. Major developments in the disappearance of Suzanne Morphew. Her husband's been charged with the murder. The judge found there's enough to hold it over to trial, and now he's free tonight. How did that happen? Details next. On the docket tonight, the disappearance of mother of two Suzanne Morphew. Her husband, Barry, charged with her murder, is set free from jail. We have the details. Plus, it's the case that has captured the nation, the disappearance and death of Gabby Petito. Tonight's 13th juror question: what is the key to uncovering the truth about what happened to Gabby? Go to our Facebook pages and tell us what you think. On the docket tonight, the case against Barry Morphew. He's accused of the murder of his wife. A judge in a preliminary hearing found enough to bind it over for trial. Meanwhile, the arrest affidavit has been released with many details inside. Megan Lopez, reporter for our great affiliate KMGH in Denver, has more for us tonight.
Surrounded by his daughters after posting a $500,000 bond, Barry Morphew was released from the Chaffee County Detention Center on Monday. He's the man accused of killing his wife Suzanne last year around Mother's Day. Her body has never been found. On the same day he was released, a roughly 130-page arrest affidavit was made public. In it, investigators lay out their case against Morphew in a timeline of events. It starts in January 2020, when they say Suzanne took, quote, clear, articulable steps to separate from and divorce her husband. Suzanne apparently told her family and friends of her intentions her husband at first denied knowing about. On May 6th, Suzanne sent a text message to Barry saying, quote, I'm done. I could care less what you're up to and have been for years. We just need to figure this out civilly. For about a year before she disappeared, Suzanne was having an affair with an old high school friend. On May 9th, her last proof of life was at 2:03 p.m. when she sent a selfie to Jeff Libler, the man she was having an affair with, and a text message a few minutes after. She didn't respond to his messages around 2:44 and 2:46 p.m., and around the same time, Barry Morphew put his phone into airplane mode. Investigators say they believe Barry, quote, took steps to dispose of evidence in Suzanne's disappearance and death, create a false alibi for himself, and stage a crime scene. Suzanne was reported missing by a neighbor on May 10th. Her bicycle was found in the woods the same day. Her helmet was found in another location, but other items she normally biked with, like her Camelback and cell phone, were at home. That same day, Barry Morphew was spotted on surveillance cameras in Broomfield making at least 5 trips to garbage cans near a McDonald's and a hotel. Also included in the affidavit, the fact that Suzanne was secretly recording Barry with a spy pen and taking notes on her phone about their relationship, saying, quote, not safe with you, can't be trusted, and oppressive. They also found inconsistencies in Barry's story. The affidavit concluded with, quote, Barry could not control Suzanne's insistence on leaving him, and he resorted to something he has done his entire life, hunt and control Suzanne like he hunted and controlled animals. But whether this timeline or the evidence is enough to convict Barry Morphew of murder will be up to a jury to decide.
It was enough for the judge to bind it over for trial. You know, one other thing I want to show you from that arrest affidavit, okay, relative to that spy pen. Take a look. The spy pen recorded Barry listening to multiple episodes of Forensic Files, including an episode where the victim went missing after riding her bike. Sound familiar? And then on May 13th, 2020, a deputy took photos of scratches on Barry's left arm. Okay, let's bring back in the think tank. You've got all this evidence that was presented in the preliminary hearing. He was locked up, you know, without any bail or bond until the preliminary hearing. The judge finds enough evidence to bind this over for trial, including a lot of the stuff you heard in that affidavit. And then the judge sets bail at $500,000 and he posts it and he's free tonight? explain this to the folks at home, Ann Bremner, how we got to the point where now that we've seen and heard the evidence and the judge agrees it's enough for a trial, now is when we set him free?
It's unbelievable, Vinnie. I'm just shocked. I mean, I'm sure you are too. I mean, it's unbelievable. And there's even a photo of him carrying 2 shovels, after she disappears. I think surveillance video at a hotel. I mean, overwhelming evidence in this case in prior domestic violence. And then searching forensic files and someone disappearing while she's on a bike. I mean, uncanny resemblance to these real facts. It's just unbelievable. I mean, you want to ensure their appearance in court, of course, by bail, but you also have to look at their dangerousness level and the instant crime, which is homicide. And it's just, I mean, how do you have confidence in the system in Colorado or anywhere else when things like this happen? With that strong of a case, a homicide and a reduction basically of bail, isn't it? I mean, it's basically down to next to nothing. And he's walking out with both of his daughters.
And as you're speaking, I saw Lawrence shuffling in his chair. I think he has something to say.
Okay.
No, I mean, you're presumed innocent, so the bond analysis is a little bit different than probable cause at a prelim. So that if they meet the certain factors, then the judge will set bond. It's just an accusation. It's just an arrest.
Sue Ann, should there be any concern that he's free now, that he is out? I mean, he posted $500,000 cash. Obviously, you took a look at the house that they lived in. He has money. Is this a concern? That someone is now found, okay, now I find there's enough evidence to take this to trial, but now you get set free.
Yeah, Vinnie, I mean, we all can see he certainly didn't get the Laundrie treatment. He didn't get that opportunity to kind of go on the lam. I think what helped him, honestly, is that his daughters were there and that one of his daughters actually wanted him to go and live with her. I think that might have given the judge pause to say, you know what, he has some family support and maybe the daughters are going to kind of monitor him and kind of keep him around and make sure, in addition to the monetary bond, but make sure that he's around. I think having his daughters there and walking out with his daughters is a great optic for, the court of public opinion, because if he in fact killed their mother, would they be this supportive? Or if they had the suspicion that that is what happened, would the daughters be as supportive as they seem to be in the video of them leaving the bond hearing?
Ann Bremner, through the years, this is extremely, extremely common, and I never fault a child that's in, and when I say child, they're adult children, but they're still a child. I mean, it's mom, it's dad, and they're in the middle. They never, ever, ever want to believe that dad killed mom, and it doesn't matter what the evidence is. It doesn't matter if there's DNA. They don't want to believe it. They don't, and many times they never believe it.
Exactly. And we've talked about that before, and we've seen it so many times, Vinnie. You're exactly right.
And I think the love triangle is always a good motive, but I think parents sometimes do a great job of hiding what their internal problems may be. And that could lead to, the kids not having an idea of what's really going on in their relationship and picking a side. But I just mean optically, I think having the support of his kids absolutely helps him.
Yeah, and I will never, ever fault children in the middle of this for taking one side or the other. It's difficult enough to be who they are. Okay, when we come back, time to hear from you, our 13th juror. It has to do with the now confirmed death, the homicide of Gabby Petito. What will be the key to uncovering the truth about what happened? That's what our system of justice is all about, ultimately, isn't it? We want to find out the truth. So what's going to be the key to all of that? Your answer when we return. All right, folks, big breaking news. Our cameras are on inside the courtroom in Akron, Ohio. A verdict has been reached. We expect it to be announced sometime within the next 10 to 20, 30 minutes. They've got to gather everyone in there. The jury clock has stopped. The jury has sent out the note saying they've reached a verdict in the case against Stanley Ford. Applying the Politan theorem, this is a quick verdict. Quick verdict, which, all right, is a quick verdict good for the prosecution? Is it good for the defense? Well, you're going to find out in about 15 or 20 minutes, so I'm not going to spend anytime necessarily debating that and talking about that, or maybe we will. Let's bring in the think tank quickly on this to get their take on it. So it's a quick verdict tonight. They started yesterday, they've got it today. Lawrence, who right now is sweating? Is it the prosecution or defense?
I've never been able to answer this question. I really don't know. Some people say that it takes longer for a jury to let somebody go. So they've got to go through all the evidence, and to let somebody walk, they'll take as long as they can, and to convict it's faster. But I've had it both ways. So I really don't have an answer for this.
All right. I love the honesty, right? Some lawyers will get up here and fake it. All right, Sue-Ann, right now, if you're the prosecutor, are you feeling a little mojo right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, obviously, but I think a quick verdict in a case with 3 different fires with that many charges where they were asking means what they asked specifically means that they got over the identity hurdle and went straight into the culpability hurdle. So if I'm the prosecutor on this case, right now I'm thinking, okay, well, I did my job. I turned 3 different fires into one and eliminated reasonable doubt, which made the verdict faster. So, but again, to his point, I've seen it both ways. Quick verdicts happen and it be because it's a not guilty. But I definitely feel like with the amount of charges and with the amount of different cases that a quick verdict might be for the prosecution.
Yeah, Lawrence is 100% right. Different people say different things. Because when I was practicing, people were saying the quick verdict, that's not good for us as prosecutors because it's a lot easier to send someone free than to send them away. And Bremner, based upon your experience and not only in the courtroom, but being on site at all these big trials through the years that take weeks, this is a relatively quick verdict.
It is.
9 victims, 5 children. Right. Who do you think right now is feeling the weight of the world?
Well, I think the prosecutor wins. And I agree with your theory completely, Vinnie, and I've stolen it before and talked about it. So I have to attribute it to you because you're exactly right. This one's a little bit quicker. I also think in the cases I've seen, in the ones that I've handled myself, that when it's a particularly horrible crime, especially involving children, and it's homicide, the jurors take a leap of faith. Even when the evidence isn't the strongest, they take that leap of faith and they go there, to convict. And they're not going to let this man walk quickly. Not under these circumstances. The O.J. Simpson verdict was quick. That was a whole different matter. The Michael Jackson verdict was long. Most of what we see, with acquittals can take a little longer. I think the quick verdicts go for the prosecutor almost all the time.
Lawrence, for a prosecutor, this moment, you're by yourself, right? Yeah, there may be some victims. There's victims' families, obviously, but they're not like right next to you. It's not your client. Only defense attorneys have actual clients. So how do you, once you get word that a verdict's been reached, how do you prepare your client for what they're about to hear, which you don't know which way it's going to go? What is that conversation like?
It just depends. You got to read your client and sort of mirror what they're doing. And if they want to hear from you, you'll talk to them. And if they don't want to really talk, you respect that too. It's a very tense moment. So, just talk about the case. And I don't know, at that point, it is what it is, really. It's just tough to sit waiting for those 10, 15 minutes. It's very excruciating. I'm probably not really talking to anybody. I'm probably running around the hallway trying to get out my energy. Honesty.
Yeah. So, folks, if you're just tuning in, a verdict has been reached in the case against Stanley Ford. They came in just over 15 hours. This jury has been sequestered, okay? And a lot of times that gets them a lot more focused on the case. This is the only thing that they're thinking about. No electronics, nothing, just the trial. That's the only thing on their mind. Now, we expect this verdict to be delivered inside the courtroom perhaps within 10 minutes or so. That was the guidance that we received from the court. Now, of course, you are going to see and hear it live right here on your front row seat to justice. And I want to remind you what's at stake here. 9 victims, those families searching for some sense of justice. One entire family was wiped out. I mean, 5 children and mom and dad. So the jury's decision just moments away here on your front row seat to justice. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.